1张100万元的支票，还有我们公司厉害的导演怀古，他可以带他可靠的制作团队前往任何想去的地方，给你拍摄带劲的节目。上一期我们拍摄了数字游民的巴厘岛，展示了他们的生活。现在我们总算迎来了第2期，快出来吧，怀古！快！哎，怀古，来，交给你了，我走了，
拜拜。那么再次感谢 Team 的支票，这一次我们要拿着这笔钱探索一个有那么些隐秘的领域——论文代写。根据研究调查表明，在欧美高校就读的大学生群体中，几乎每7个人里面就有1个人曾经找过代写。假设我现在是一名处在期末考试周的海外大学生，在接下来的12个小时内，我得同时搞定3件事：考试复习、演讲 PPT 制作以及一篇2500字的文章。但比较尴尬的是，此前我的拖延症让现在的进度非常不乐观。我不是没考虑过借助 ChatGPT 这样的工具救急，但教授们早已掌握甄别 AI 生成内容的工具，一旦被发现，后果不堪设想。于是我打开了浏览器，在搜索栏中输入关键词，然后回车。无数网页跳了出来，这些网站设计普遍简洁亲和，并承诺提供高质量的定制论文，只需要选择作业的具体需求，然后输入信用卡号，几天甚至几个小时后，我需要写的文章就完成了。这些网站上雇佣写手的个人资料照片几乎都是白人面孔，给人一种错觉，仿佛文章是由西方的学者撰写的，而事实上，这些隐秘写手中的大多数都来自这个东非国家肯尼亚。好的，我们现在就已经来到肯尼亚的首都内罗毕了。然后在这个城市，听说有4万名写手，超级多，几乎外面这种每一栋楼里面都会有1、2个写手。注意到了吗？现在时间其实是晚上，据说写手们就是他们工作最繁忙的时间其实是晚上，所以我们现在就要去一个真正的论文工厂去看一下里面到底是什么样的。大家看到前面这辆巴士了吗？就这边的巴士好像很喜欢用这种绿色的什么的灯光，感觉要去地府了，很怪啊。哦，对了，我们并不是一到内罗毕就直接前往论文工厂，无论是这个未知的论文工厂，还是内罗毕的夜晚，真的都说不上安全。所以直到找到专业的保镖能确保我们安全之后，大家才来到了这里。好，看起来是个很正经的地方。Online writing， 哦，这里能看到他们的业务范围。但他写的也不是说我就直接帮你带一下，他写的还是委婉一点。他说的是，我给你做写作咨询，反正还有点意思。我们进去看看吧。Can we enter? Sir, yeah. Okay, we can go. 哇，进来了。It's actually, let me see what time it is. It's like 9:48.
Yes.
What's like typical working hour in this workstation?
For example, these are the ones working at night. They'll work until around 6 in the morning. They came in at 6 p.m.
Okay.
They leave at around 6 in the morning.
Wow, why don't they just work during the day? Why?
We work in shifts, so there are others working during the day.
Oh, also six.
Yes,
so
yes.
2 shifts.
Yes, 2 shifts.
Wait, it's a 24-hour place.
Yes.
No matter when I came here, there's people here.
Yeah.
尽管这个工作站在行业里算比较小的，早晚班各10人，但是为了能接到更多的单，老板会尽可能招聘到不同学科大类的写手，人文社科、自然科学、工程技术，还有商科的写手都会有。What's the most frequent subject you receive? Is it business or
Business, healthcare, nursing.
Wait, health?
Yes.
Healthcare?
Yes.
Wait, isn't it a bit like
I know
scary?
It's scary. I know it's scary, but that's the reality.
What are the like major countries you receive? Like top 1, top 2, top 3? What would you say?
US.
US top 1.
Yes.
Okay.
UK.
Top 2?
Australia.
Oh, I see. 其实海外各国学生在日常生活中还是相当容易接触到这些代写发送的广告的，无论是 Instagram 上各路代写不断的私信，数之不尽的邮件广告，还有非常鸡贼的搜索引擎优化，确保你无论搜什么和作业、论文相关的关键词，代写的网页始终会出现在你搜索结果的前几个。这位工作站的老板告诉我们，代写广告已经升级到和大公司一样做内容营销，简单来说就是提供有价值或任何有吸引力的内容来吸引学生。无论是各类与论文写作相关的干货视频，还是各大 YouTube 博主的节目，甚至不少海外大学生喜闻乐见的短视频中都有代写的定制广告。即便现在有了相关法规的限制，一些频道依然会隐晦地将网站入口留在视频简介处，各大代写平台账号也只是换个名字照旧发布内容。 看到代写打了这么多广告，我们也忍不住想要打个广告。飘逸听说我们要坐20多个小时的飞机，专门塞这件产品部新出的魔术枕卫衣。日常穿起来平平无奇，但当你旅途中想要眯一下的时候，只要掏出气管吹上几口，就能得到这样一个随身的舒适颈枕，实用性拉满。所以我们自己和自己一拍即合。那么继续观看节目吧。其实代写一定程度上也有职业发展路径。我们刚刚探访的这种叫做工作站，一般是代写的新手训练营，里面大多是大学还没有毕业或者刚毕业的学生。老板告诉我们，一位写手一天大概能为工作站赚30到50美元。而从写手私下里将这里称作血汗工厂来看，他们真正能拿到的薪资应该极低。在积累一定工作经验后，写手会离开工作站，加入到写手工作室。我们通过一位曾经做过调研的人类学学者联系到了一个写手工作室。接下来写手工作室的写手 Rob 和老板瓦夫拉可以带我们一探究竟。然后这里这个地方很特殊，就是这里有超级多聚集的写手。然后为什么呢？因为旁边有这里肯尼亚最好的大学，那个 KU 这就在旁边。然后这里就是我们要去的论文工厂在的一个地方。老哥租在了顶层，想当个写手还要体力劳动一下才能爬上来。Hey guys, we're a video team from China. Yeah, we do YouTube channels. Whoa, oh my gosh.
Was a very big space.
Yeah, good, cool.
Very good.
Oh, and so many laptops. Oh, that's so cool.
This building, there could be over 20 writers. Okay, and most of the people from Kenyatta University, just right here. I can say that in Kahawa alone, I think there's close to over 20,000 writers.
这个工作室有一个超级可爱的东西，超级可爱的生物。You like this cat so much, right?
Okay, he's a junior writer.
相比前面工作站更多是撰写一些日常小作业，工作室会专攻难度更高、利润也更丰厚的毕业论文，而且不单单是本科生的毕业论文，据他们所说，硕士论文、博士论文他们都做。
He had a client that he worked for him through his degree, his master's, his PhD.
What?
Yeah. So, what that person did, he actually just gave him logins to the school portal. So you just go to my account, anytime there's an assignment that has been posted, you go do it and submit.
Oh my gosh.
The PhD guy, you just made it just this one or me.
所以我们现在已经来到这样一个代写的一个工作室，然后它说实话有一点点像王者荣耀的那种代练工作室，都是一大帮就是超级厉害的人，然后聚集在这样一个小小的空间里面。这里的写手大多毕业于肯尼亚上游水平的大学，这位老哥甚至还有14年为可口可乐等大公司工作的经历。而就像王者荣耀代练车队有人负责不同的位置，这里的写手也会分别负责论文不同的位置。从论文的引言到最后的结论，每个写手都会专门负责自己擅长的部分。首先，工作室的老板会用自己的账号接单，了解具体需求后拆解分配任务给各个写手。有的写手会专门负责找文献、整理文献，有的写手则专门负责研究方法，还有的写手专门负责数据分析。最后，工作室的老板会撰写引言和结论，并确保中间写手们产出的内容完全符合客户需求。在闲聊过程中，写手工作室的老板还告诉我们，其实在代写领域还有一个完全不同的赛道，他们不是写手，也不接单，他们做的事情就是售卖能让写手进入流量入口的账号。
So in short, one of the businesses is selling accounts. When, for example, they can go to open like 10 accounts, and then they sell the accounts as a business. So most of these accounts people buy.
由于平台不希望站内的论文是被英语非母语的写手完成的，即便肯尼亚人的英语很不错，但依旧不被认可为母语。同时，平台也不相信这些论文能够被肯尼亚人或者说黑人完成，因此肯尼亚的写手们需要一个看起来值得信赖的欧美账号，但他们自己通常难以做到。这时会有专门的账号商用美国、欧洲手机卡注册账号，再上传各类伪造证书，让账号看起来像一个西方学者。
So I'll open them in US. I'll create those documents.
Sometimes someone has to send even their SIM card that they used to open to register that account. These are a page where they sell accounts. You can see all those accounts listed there.
Oh my gosh. 根据账号的平台、评分、订单量以及完成率不同，账号的价格可以在几百到上千美元不等。一些经营多年的老账号甚至可以卖出4、5千甚至上万美元的高价。 这较高的金额也让诈骗开始出现，而我们离诈骗故事最近的一次，竟然是我们前往 Rob 的兼职地点，准备单独采访 Rob 的时候。2年前，一位人类学学者曾经与 Rob 在这个二手汽车零部件公司前采过。我们觉得这个地方很有意思，便想看能不能在这里聊些话题。写手 Rob 先是告诉我们，这里早已被查封，根本无法拍摄。在我们寻得地点发现这里正常运营后，他表面答应了我们在这里采访，但却迟迟不肯出现。
Skip to your work 2 hours.
Yeah, yesterday he is like wait late for hour. Today 2 hours. He said like it's gonna be an hour ago. I'm not sure if even if he's coming here. Maybe he's just taking the.
He's around. I
Take
know.
the run.
I know.
我们本来想来这儿拍采访，但老板直接言辞拒绝了我们，说他很讨厌这个人，根本没办法来这里拍任何东西。他卖了一个账户给别人，然后他收到钱以后马上改了密码，然后这个事情就相当于他在这个圈子里面就臭掉了。然后反正这个老板他曾经也是做代写的，也知道这件事情。
虽说这账号诈骗是写手骗写手，和学生没什么关系，但想起先前在工作室听到的这段话，我们觉得事情或许没有那么简单。
For example, the way said he was not paid for the 150 articles. Yeah. So for students, what we do mostly when I get access to your class, I have to know your lecturer.
Okay.
I know your email. I have to know the email for the lecturer. Mostly they are available for the websites. On the website, yeah. So you get the access to the lecturer's email. So in the event they don't pay you up, can fuck them up. I'm using this word a lot. I don't know whether, but it's good, yeah. So you talk to the lecturer, tell this you have been cheating. Okay, I can blackmail you when I have the instructor's email. Okay.
我们无法确定写手在知道学生的信息后是仅要回本金，还是借机勒索更多金额，但几乎没有学生能够接受被学校开除、丢掉价值极高的学位。一旦被勒索，学生要付出的代价将难以想象。但为什么写手要去诈骗呢？是代写赚不到钱了吗？几天后，一位不愿透露身份的写手联系到了我们，并表示自己有些关于诈骗的信息可以透露，于是便有了这段采访。
When it started making a lot of money, you know, so maybe your lifestyle was kind of up here.
Yes,
now you have to adjust.
And how much can you earn in a month? Like when it was good?
300,000 Kenya shillings. That's like $3,000.
$3,000. Oh, that's really good money. And now it's like 40%.
Yeah, it's declining each year because the AI are getting better.
AI 时代带来最直观的影响就是单量减少，而弗拉告诉我们，现在写手的数量已经远超市面上的工作。我们自己也尝试过在一个代写平台上发布订单，短短几分钟时间就有50多名写手争先恐后来举荐自己，非常夸张。在代写变成一个彻底的买方市场，且学生有了 AI 这样的替代方案，代写的单价已经降到令人震惊的程度。在第一站 Workstation， 我们看到了10页的护士论文，但是写手只能拿到$2.5美元。当写手无法通过代写获得足够的收入时，其他的黑色收入也随之而来。
There's a lot of people who hide behind writing, but they are not actually doing the writing. They say, I'm a writer, but you see a writer driving a Range Rover and you're like, how?
Scamming. Yeah, most people are scamming. They're just transitioned to scamming.
就其实这个里面还有一个叫做 credit card theft， 就是信用卡盗窃。它是怎么样的呢？就是比如说写手在近几年就是这个收入下降了以后，他们有尝试就是去国外找工作，然后这个形式有很多种，有的是直接比如说客户觉得哇你写的好棒，来我的毕业 party 吧，很奇怪啊，然后但是他们就是会有这种情况，来了以后他们就黑在那边了，然后或者是其他的通过一些黑心的一些代理人，反正有一些方式能把你就是弄出国。
So once they get there, they get these jobs like they have to work in a restaurant. They there are jobs where they get to hold so many credit cards.
Oh.
You just take a picture and you send to someone in Kenya. You don't withdraw from the other side because you'll be caught. So you send to someone in Kenya.
所以当他们拿到了这个信用卡正反面以后，他们就可以去别的一些就是线上工作的平台创造一些完全没有的工作，然后让这张卡给另外一张卡付钱，这样他们就实现了从信用卡里面提现。
So once you get that credit card, you can't remove all that money at once. You just have to take little by little, hoping that the owner does not come to find out.
So, how is it related to like writing industry? Is it like
Yeah,
a particular?
most people who do that have been in the industry. If you ask them what do they do, they'll tell you they're academic writers. Once you get tapped into that line, it's so hard to come back to writing because it takes a lot.
Oh, it's tedious.
It's
it takes
tedious.
time.
So in most cases, what they always do, they still want to make money with writing, but they don't want to write, so they contract other small writers, those who are just starting up. You see?
Wait,
So it's like a web.
写手通过诈骗赚来的钱成立了新的代写工作站，而这个工作站的存在并不是为了能产出多少论文，而是作为一个外壳，让一切看起来合理。对于写手来说，最重要的并不是这层外壳能赚多少钱，而是让真正赚钱的事情看起来不像它本来的样子。从最初依赖自身的能力为他国学生写论文，到虚构履历买卖账号，再到账号诈骗和勒索学生，这是代写产业从灰色劳动一步步走到黑色经济。而当仅剩的写作价值也被 AI 夺走，有的写手离开了这个产业，而有的则是继续坠落，飘向更深的阴影。虽说 AI 在不断变强，但目前依然无法完全取代写手。无论是引用根本不存在的资料，还是查重与 AI 检测，都是摆在一些学生面前的大问题。还是会有动歪脑筋的学生找没有查重和 AI 问题的真人代写。因此，制片 Hugo 又联系到了一位在行业里写作水平颇有口碑的高级写手，他的生活和大部分写手都不太一样，非常独特。只不过他的工作地点并不在首都内罗毕，而是肯尼亚的第二大城市，被称为东非入口的蒙巴萨。想要前往那里，我们需要依赖这个有些熟悉的交通工具。
不是，这个蓝色车票好像国内已经快取消了吧？但是你看这个地方，这个闸机，这个通道，你说这是什么地方？制片老师？
这里是蒙内铁路的起点，就是在内罗毕的一个车站。但是你看这个环境，我现在都有点想直接拿出身份证就刷闸机进站了。
虽说这个候车室让人感觉很像国内的高铁站，但其实这是一个朴素铁路，480公里的距离需要行驶大约5个小时才能抵达。而为了让整个旅途更加舒适，我们必须带上这件神奇道具。
怀古，你的帽子怎么鼓鼓的？这个是我们公司新出的一个魔术枕卫衣，只要像我刚刚这样子充上气，然后再往这里一躺，你说这个面料还真挺柔软挺舒服的。
只要戴上这个超大的帽子，长途睡眠质量直线提升，
然后我们转眼间就会到蒙巴萨了。
蒙巴萨是全东非最古老的港口之一，也是一个受西方游客欢迎的海滨旅游城市。相比代写之都内罗毕，这里虽然没有优秀的大学资源，但优美的环境和相对发达的旅游业是吸引这位独立写手 Tariki 来到这里的原因。
So these are my people. Yeah, this is the bar.
Wait, the life is so good here. Like sharing space, big hotel, trees around the ocean, and also a swimming pool. That's crazy, bro.
Let me show you my spot.
Okay.
This was my spot.
在采访过程中，我们了解到 Tariki 的母亲是老师，父亲是教授。他以优异的成绩毕业于肯尼亚目前排名第1的肯亚塔大学。大家可能会好奇，为什么 Tariki 能过这样的生活？这其实和他所接的订单类型有关。写手订单可以粗略地分为2类：走平台和不走平台。走平台相对安全，但写手必须忍受平台高达70%的抽成比例，几乎赚不到什么钱。不走平台获得的收入高很多，但普通写手很少有直接客户资源。只有像 Tariki 这样靠口碑积累了足够多直接客户的高级写手，才能在当今的 AI 时代立足。说着，他给我们展示了最新的订单。
Introduction to philosophy, primary source analysis. Wow, you do philosophy?
Yeah, of course.
Of course. Wait, philosophy is like so abstract then.
So the same case with writing. You find that you've written for so many years, such that you've written like 10, 50 or 100 philosophy papers. So you don't really need to be like, you already know it, you know? Then something like social sciences or history and politics.
对了 Tariki 还跟我们分享了一下他是怎么写作的。首先，他从不直接用 AI 来生成各类文章，他只会让 AI 给他推荐这个课题相关且学术上可信的资料。他会逐字阅读重要资料，并让 AI 总结其他次要资料的内容。 只有当他确保理解了这个课题，他才会开始写作。而这种习惯也让他在业内享有非常不错的口碑。但无论口碑有多好，所有代写依然要面临一个共同的问题，那就是学生并不是一年四季都要写作业的。
I mean, in high season, of course, you do the job. What about low season? What do you actually do? You just, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, low season. I'm usually broke. Yeah, but I'm usually broke, but during good.
Oh, okay. 所以刚和写手聊天的过程中，我们已经了解到，其实写作这个事情它是有淡季和旺季的。这个其实很好理解，因为你学生有考试，也有放假。在学生放假的时候，他该做什么呢？就是做旅游业。他其实现在有一个旅游公司，所以接下来他就会作为一个旅行社的身份，带我们去在这个蒙巴萨这个城市转一转。我们走。
Wow. Then there are zebras over here.
Oh, zebra and the giraffe. 哦，就真的这个东西就是，其实拍下来以后，其实就没有感觉有那么震撼，因为有超级多野生动物的那种纪录片能拍得很好，我们拍也一定拍不到那个程度，就很难还原这种现场看到那个感觉。我们看到第一只长颈鹿那个头从那个里面探出来，就巨震撼。然后现在看到现在有一大群，就像那种侏罗纪公园，在 IMAX 电影院里面看侏罗纪公园的那种感觉。Would you be doing still doing academic writing even in the future if you your travel agency gets bigger?
I will be doing, but I'll relegate it to what the side business you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because travel business is awesome.
So you're saying your passion is also like academic writing, so you're actually enjoying the process of writing.
Yes.
So how's that? Why it's like a passionate thing? Can you describe it?
Generally writing, not academic writing per se. Yeah, generally writing, because I mean, I consider myself an unlearned historian, like unemployed professor of history.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So for me to write more better scripts, better history scripts, better political scripts, and better travel vlogs and blogs, I have to be a reader and a writer. So assuming you're getting paid to learn a skill, you know?
I see.
Assuming you're getting paid to learn a skill, and you love doing that. That's two birds with one stone again.
So those students in the global north, they're paying money, they're paying tuition for their study, but you are getting it for free and even get it paid.
其实 Tariki 还有一个爱好，那就是历史。他会用代写学来的知识做历史类的 YouTube 视频，还会邀请其他学习历史的朋友与他一起共创视频。这次旅行体验除了野生动物保护区 ，Tariki 还邀请了一位他的历史讲解员朋友为我们介绍蒙巴萨的历史。相比仅有100余年历史的内罗毕，蒙巴萨的历史要深厚得多。这是一座始于公元9世纪的古老贸易港城，与波斯、印度、中国都有贸易往来，非常繁荣。世界各地的商人在这里共同生活。这种多元民族的特性也让这座城市天生不惧外来者。当美丽的港城风景让旅游业开始逐渐兴起，写手这个本来不应该存在的职业，也带着世界教育的知识来到这里，期待着有一天自己不再只是为欧美学生搭建学术论文的框架，而是为自己搭建美好生活的框架。 节目到这里，相信大家已经初步了解代写产业在肯尼亚的现状。在发达国家学生持续通过代写获得学位的同时，肯尼亚也已经成为了世界上最大的写手聚集地。但为什么呢？为什么偏偏是肯尼亚，不是其他国家？
During the also colonial times again, of course, the administrations needed to be run by, for instance, like clerical jobs, needed people who are skilled. So they trained us Christian missionary type of education system so that we could be able to do these jobs. So you find that people were very eloquent in their writing and even in their speaking. So, and then now they were considered very smart. Yeah, moving up, this also trickled down to us again. The education, that's what we adopted, the education system.
在殖民时期，英国想要在肯尼亚培养能为殖民系统工作的人，具体来说需要的是会英语、会写报告、能在行政系统中运转的人。于是相同语言体系的教育被引入，它让一代又一代的肯尼亚人英语流利，同时熟悉相同的学术格式。因此当欧美学生出现论文代写需求时，肯尼亚的年轻人就像是被历史准备好的一样，已经具备了必要条件。当然，仅仅具备写作技能并不足以让肯尼亚成为世界上最大的写手聚集地，毕竟很多国家都有熟悉英文写作的人才。而真正让大量肯尼亚人出现在代写行业的原因，还要从20多年前说起。
So we had free education for the first time under President Kibaki. He was in about 23 years ago. So that then created, I think, an estimated of around 10 million Kenyans who are the first to have gone through full education.
在过去的20年里，肯尼亚大力推动高等教育普及化，国家预算28%都用于教育。大学数量从2000年代初的7所增加到如今的70多所，本科和研究生毕业人数暴增。政府鼓励全民上大学，导致文凭供给迅速膨胀。
So that meant then that we had created a lot of intellectual people. We educated them and then we didn't have the jobs to absorb all that people, you know, because you're churning out about 1 million to 2 million graduates every year and you're only creating about 50 to 100,000 jobs. So there'll always be a problem. So that led to a huge rise in the informal sector. So you'll see a lot of business in Kenya, even if you walk around marketplaces. These are educated people, you know, selling eggs, selling snacks, selling foods, you know, because that's what's available.
就这样，大量受过良好教育的青年在失业的挤压下进入了同一个出口，在夜晚的内罗毕为世界另一端的学生写论文。而代写产业则像是一个国家的教育梦想与经济现实之间那难以弥补的差值。
The rate of unemployment in Kenya for the youth is at least 35%, and the overall unemployment rate stands at 12%. You see, and that's why we took to the streets in protest. But even though that these sentiments were directed at the government, again, indirectly, others are just, you can say they were directed at the lending institutions like the IMF, like the World Bank, because of the what? Of the SAPs, the Structural Adjustment Programs.
1970年代，肯尼亚陷入严重的经济危机，被迫大量举借西方银行的贷款。而 SAPS 就是国际货币基金组织和世界银行给肯尼亚提供贷款时强制附加的经济改革条件。
So the first thing, where is the trade liberation, this meant that the Western were able to infiltrate the market in the form of importing foreign goods at a significantly cheaper price. All right, that is competitive, or that even the manufacturers from Kenya could not compete with. All right. Because these prices were significantly low, and also another thing is also reducing the tariffs. So what happens? So they cannot compete with the prices, market prices, they shut down. So the people that were working for them are also rendered jobless.
在结构调整计划实施后，肯尼亚的工业迅速萎缩，就业市场持续恶化，政府的债务也越跌越高。即使在2025年的今天，想要在肯尼亚创业依然很难，这里电费高，贷款贵，机器要进口，道路又难走。说了这么多，大家可能以为肯尼亚的经济糟透了，但其實并不完全是这样的。肯尼亚其实已经是整个东非最发达的国家。
So the global giants see the value of Kenya, and Kenya it's a fantastic economy. It's growing well, but it's growing well for the people who have. So the people, it's very capitalistic. So the people who have a lot of money, they are growing. But for the people who don't yet quite have a lot of money, a lot of people, I think 73% live under $1 a day. Yeah, so when you walk around, when you move around, which I hope you will, you'll see a lot of slums, Kibra, Mukuru. You know, you'll see a lot of places where people are spending, like, rent there is $10 a month for a small mabati. Because Kenya is a funny place. If you drive through the expressway, you'll think you're in New York. You'll think you're in New York. It's beautiful, shiny buildings with lights, it's order, there's no traffic, everything works, and you'll have this very rosy picture of Kenya. If you drive underneath the expressway, very different. Matatus, people shouting at you, boda bodas, guys trying to steal your side mirrors, you know. It's the same Kenya, but very, very different.
They ask me how I knew my true love was true. Inside cannot be denied. They said someday you'll find all who love are blind.
You need to buy a job.
What? Wait. I need to buy a job. Did I hear that wrong?
Yes.
You need to give a bribe
yes.
for you to get a job.
And then again, with the amount of money you pay, it depends on the position you want. So here, you have to buy a job.
Buying a job, bribing them to buy a job.
Yeah, and you're told, okay, fine, you want your son to become a cadet, it's 500,000. Crazy money. Of course, it's unofficial. But so people now are having to go to start to sell their cows, or do I sell this piece of land so that my son can get a job? Because he's just here, sitting. I'm the father, what do I do? Yeah? So that, as I say, corruption is our biggest. And I say our, because it's a Kenyan thing. I can tell you right now, if this Kenyan who's complaining, if you make him president, he'll steal even more. Kenyans have grown up with a sense of theft. The only way I can make money is if I
steal something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a systemic issue. It's not just, you can point hands at the president, but corruption happens across.
It is a system that was introduced back in the days, and we have been using it. Remember, first, one thing you have to know with most of African countries,
yes,
we were colonized, right? By being the French, being the Italians, being the British, but we are still their puppets. Like whatever way we run our governments, it is still through their system.
在与肯尼亚历史讲解员的聊天过程中，我们了解到，肯尼亚在独立后其实并没有真正重建国家，而是继承了殖民时期的官僚体系，保留了殖民时期的土地制度。一个曾经为了提取资源而设计的国家结构，继续决定着今天的预算、工程、土地与税收。换句话说，殖民国家结构没有被拆除，只是换了驾驶员。
It's something that different presidents have tried in different ways to deal with, but if you look at this particular regime, corruption seems to be the last thing they want to deal with. Let me not speak for them, but yeah, if you look, like their focus is in projects and developments and other things, they're not really trying to stem corruption because there's been scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal. Estimates are somewhere between the last 3 years, somewhere between 1 to 2 trillion.
当一个国家的未来被如此多的手撕扯，当整个系统都成为分赃的筹码，年轻人发现他们唯一可以相信的是自己的键盘。
So let's say if time go back to 10 years or so, would you still want to become a writer?
Yeah, you know, it was my fate. No, okay, no, it was not my choice. Something like you are just looking at the job economy in Kenya. So it's something you are pushed by the way the issues are. So I can't say I can't talk like I would like it because it's something you can earn from. Yeah, you get your deals.
But on the other hand, you gotta survive.
Yeah, that's
you know?
true.
Like sometimes you don't have even a job. You go do like construction work. It's pretty taxing to both your body, your mind, and it's also kind of dangerous.
I mean, it's
And they
crazy.
did the
You
construction.
graduate from the best school and you're like doing so great on class and you end up going
Yep.
to the construction
Yep.
work.
Yep, welcome to our world.
当工业无法成长，当教育无法改变命运，肯尼亚的青年人发现他们只剩一种资源可以出口，那就是脑力，里面装载着他们的语言、他们的才华，还有他们的夜晚。在无可避免地选择了这条道路后，他们的知识如同过去的原材料一样被廉价购买。
What do you think the ethics of it as a like when you're doing academic writing?
Academic writing.
Yeah.
Because you have like a crisis of conscience. Like, you know, you're probably helping someone and still messing with their lives. When it comes to like when they go to the corporate world or to do their businesses, then they're not like completely qualified, you know? Yeah, they're like half-baked or something, you know?
For instance, if you're looking at nurses, this is a very sensitive because we are dealing with human life here, right? I'm the one who or somebody else from Kenya has calculated the amount of dosage that you need to give a patient. You have no idea. You're just presenting it. That is mind-blowing.
当无路可走的写手为世界写下这些论文，他们不知道这些文字会让谁功成名就，又让谁深受其害。这些被伪造出来的学位可能会进入医院、法庭、政府部门，最终变成诊断、判决和政策。其中一部分甚至会反过来影响肯尼亚的规则和秩序。没有被真正掌握的知识并不会停留在论文里，它最终会在现实中显现后果，只是这个后果可能需要所有人一起承担。
Do you have like an ideal lifestyle? Like anything you want to achieve?
For me, my real lifestyle is just for my mom. Huh?
For your mama?
Whatever I want to achieve is just on my mom. She's a single mother. And taking me through that life to campus. I brought up alone by a single mother up to campus. Graduated, like all on her.
Rob 告诉我们，他希望能用赚来的钱先给妈妈换一个大一点的房子，不用再睡在保安室里。在我们离开前 ，Rob 的妈妈还悄悄告诉我们，他最大的愿望就是希望儿子能找到一份正经工作，这样在他代写赚不到钱的时候，就不会偷偷跑去干坏事了。在问及 Tariki 未来想做什么时，他的回答很有意思。他说他想做好他的 YouTube 频道，他希望用非洲视角讲述非洲历史。
So you find that African history has been underrepresented. African history has been, they say, someone was saying, like I'll just paraphrase this proverb, they were saying that until the lion starts speaking, the hunter will always like be celebrated, you know. So African history is very important. We need to rewrite it, you know, because most of it, like if you tell like a Kenyan right now to tell me about Kenyan history or tell me about Kenyan history before the 1960s, you know, because a Kenyan will tell you like, yeah, we got independence in 1963, we were colonized by the British, and that's it. For one to write history, you must have been like the winner, right? Like you existed, you weren't killed, you know, because most of our ancestors were killed. So you find like their history has been written by the hunter, you know, not the lion.
在很多故事里，狮子从不说话，历史被写下，奖章被颁发，狮子的劳动只是背景，直到
Until lions have their own historians, tales of the hunt shall always glorify the hunter. Once the lion starts to speak, the hunter's history will be rewritten. So in this case, I'm a lion.
对了，其实前面的内罗毕大学教授并不是真的教授，他的真实身份是一位曾经毕业于内罗毕大学的写手。我们在出发前请他代写了一篇关于肯尼亚写手的论文，同时要求所有信息都是有可信来源的。我们希望让狮子当一次历史学家，让一个长期被沉默的人不再缺席于叙述的位置。那么到这里，我们的论文代写探秘之旅就告一段落。除掉公司承担的出行成本，我们5人在肯尼亚14天的支出大约是9万人民币。如果你还有什么想要在百万支票系列节目里看到的故事或者体验，也欢迎在弹幕或者评论区给我们留言。如果大家喜欢这件可以随地大小睡的魔术枕卫衣，欢迎前往影视飓风天猫官方旗舰店选购。那么以上就是本期节目的全部内容，欢迎大家投币点赞3连转发，这会对百万支票系列有非常大的帮助。那么我们下期再见。